So in this lecture, I'm going to teach you how to navigate within the viewport window. So to start off, open a new project using a blank blueprint and choosing with starter content. So either launch the project browser and go to the New Projects tab, or if you already have the editor open, go to File, New Project, then choose Blank for your template, set the third setting to With Starter Content, then click Create Project. Now, one thing I want to mention about the starter content. When you choose with starter content along with any of the templates, it will add the starter content folder to the content browser. But when you choose with starter content along with the blank template, it will also automatically add some of that content to your level. And that's what this yellowish orange furniture is here. If you had chosen no starter content, there would only be a single thin block with no material here. And because this lecture is about moving within the viewport, it will help to have some objects in the scene to give some perspective. So now, I'm going to press F11 to expand the viewport to full screen and talk about how to navigate within it. So how do you navigate in the viewport? There are three main ways to do this. The first is by mouse navigation. Try holding down the left mouse button and dragging the mouse. This allows you to move the camera forward or backwards and to rotate it left and right. Notice there is no way to move up and down with this movement. It is only for traveling along the X and Y axes. Also, you cannot move directly left or right with this movement. You can only rotate left and right. So to do those things, hold the left mouse button and the right mouse button at the same time and drag the mouse. This will allow you to move directly left and right and up and down. Also, if you have a middle mouse button, you can hold that down instead of the left and right mouse buttons to achieve the same effect. Finally, try holding down just the right mouse button and dragging the mouse. This won't move the camera along any axes, but what it does do is allow you to rotate the camera in any direction so you can look at the scene from whatever angle you wish. So at this point, I recommend you pause the lecture and just take a moment to get used to these controls. And then, when you're ready, I'll move on to the second way to move around in the viewport. So the second way to get around is to use WASD navigation. This is used to move around the viewport in a way that more closely mimics the controls commonly used when playing a standard first-person game using the mouse and keyboard. It's called WASD because it uses the W, A, S, and D keys on the keyboard and a few of the keys surrounding those keys. To use WASD navigation, you will need to keep the right mouse button clicked the whole time. This will allow you to rotate the camera in any direction using the mouse as discussed before, but also when the right mouse button is clicked, the WASD keys will cause movement. Use the W, A, S, and D keys themselves to move the camera forward, backwards, left, and right. Use the Q and E key to move the camera up and down, and use the keys Z and C to zoom the camera in and out. And one thing I need to mention about zooming is that it's only temporary. So once you let go of the right mouse button, the zoom will go back to the default. So again, pause the lecture here, get used to these controls, then come back. Now, before I discuss the third way of navigating the viewport, I'm going to talk about a very simple yet very powerful feature of the viewport window. And the reason I'm talking about it now is because it is useful in conjunction with the third navigation method. If you press the F key, it will focus the camera on whatever object is selected. I'll give you three examples of why this is so useful. First, let's say I have a large level I'm working on, and the camera is all the way over here in the level, but I want to work with the yellow furniture some more. I could set the camera speed up high and navigate all the way over there, but an easier way would be to simply click on one of the objects, press the F key, and it will take the camera straight there. An even more useful scenario is this. Let's say my large level has lots of rooms in it, and the camera is in one of those many rooms, but I want to get back to the yellow furniture, which is in another one of those many rooms. I could spend a long time navigating through the viewport trying to find it visually, but a better way would be to select it in the World Outliner, then focus on it. So if I go up to the World Outliner and I go down to the Static Meshes folder and I click on Chair, it will select the chair for me. However, it won't take me to the chair. But because that chair is now selected, all I have to do is press F and I'm taken straight there. My third example of why the F key is useful has to do with the third way to navigate the viewport, which is to use Maya navigation. Maya refers to a popular 3D modeling program in which these controls are used. So the three controls in Maya navigation are performed by holding down the Alt key. The first Maya control is done by holding the Alt key along with the left mouse button and dragging the mouse. This will tumble or orbit the camera around a single point of interest. However, notice that even though I have the table selected, it's not actually using the table as the point of interest. To do that, I need to now press F to focus on the table. Now when I tumble, it rotates nicely around the table and I can have a look at it from any angle. Now try holding the Alt key and the right mouse button and dragging the mouse. This will dolly or zoom the camera toward and away from a single point of interest. Again, press F to focus on an object first in order to dolly directly towards and away from it. Finally, hold down the Alt key and the middle mouse button and drag the mouse. This will cause the camera to track or pan up, down, left, and right. Again, pause the lecture here and get comfortable with this third method of navigation before continuing on. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to discuss in this lecture is camera speed. If you want to adjust the speed at which the camera moves about the level, you can do so by adjusting the camera speed slider in the upper right corner of the viewport. Let's say you have a very large level and you want to be able to move about it quickly. You can set the camera speed up to an 8, and as you can see, you will move through the level very quickly. Conversely, if you need a fine level of control over the camera speed, you can set it down as low as a 1 and it will move very slowly. And then you can set it back to a 4 if you want the default speed that we've been using so far. And that will conclude the lecture on navigating the viewport.